Monster Hunter is back. Much like Monster Hunter Worlds and Rise before it, Monster Hunter Wilds comes with a number of quality of life improvements which I appreciate. Since this is a game series that traditionally focuses on gameplay over narrative, I'm going to focus on that first. The core loop is the same as previous Monster Hunter games, or Mon Hunt for those in the know. But for the hunt, find the monster, fight in an epic battle, hopefully win, then carve up the monster for parts to create better gear and or weapons for the next hunt. Each region, or dare I say, biome, has its unique characteristics in weather and smaller monsters to be aware of in this iteration of the game. In my opinion, the game feels more lively in Wilds. In a follow-up to Palamutes in Monster Hunter Rise, hunters can now ride velociraptor-like creatures called Sacrets. Much like in Rise, the Sacrets make it easier to navigate to your target. Additionally, players can sharpen their weapons, heal, grab items, and even shoot from your slinger on your mount. I found this to be a lifesaver on multiple occasions. Another new feature is the ability to switch to a second weapon while on the Sacred. This allows players to further explore new weapon tactics and combinations than in previous games. In full disclosure, I started playing Monster Hunter with Worlds, and probably put in close to 300 hours of combined play between Worlds and Rise. In all that time, I still feel like I don't know much about the game. I've stuck with the sword and shield the entire time, and rarely used any items outside of healing. This has been the first time where I felt compelled to even try a new weapon. Part of that reason is because there's a non-player character, or NPC, that appears on occasion and will sell weapons to you that would normally take a number of hunts to craft. You see, in the previous games, if you wanted to explore new weapon types, you'd have to craft through an entire tree of weapons in order to be strong enough to fight at a challenging level. Even worse, chances are, you might not even like the weapon type, and it would have been a huge waste of time. So, either you fight the easier, now boring monsters to test your new weapon, or you use your farmed goods and a chance to build a weapon suitable for the monsters at your current level. In short, I love this new addition of the NPC who sells quality weapons and the ability to take a second weapon into battle. This allows you to freely experiment if you choose, and have a primary weapon as a fallback, just in case. Another great feature is the focus mode. It allows the player to see where wounds are open on the monster to deal additional focus damage, and to get a monster part in the process. This really helps streamline and focus my attacks, and force me in positions I normally wouldn't be in. For example, a monster may be preparing to spit venom or a blast of energy at the hunter. It would be simple to see the attack coming and dodge the attack with ease. However, using focus mode, you might see that there's a weak spot on the monster's mouth during that actual attack. Chances are, you'll get a nice monster part when attacking a weak spot, but you'd have to risk being attacked yourself in order to get it. I've had some exciting last-second exchanges of this nature in my time with Wilds. The last thing I want to discuss is the bevy of accessibility features. This game is complicated and requires quick reflexes and the ability to play in stretches of up to 50 minutes at a time, which is a lot of button presses. Regarding the focus mode mentioned before, by default, you have to press and hold the left trigger button in order to stay in focus mode. Needless to say, my hands got tired holding that button down for so long doing multiple hunts in a row. If you have a difficult time holding the left trigger button down, I'd suggest changing it to a toggle instead. So, those are a lot of improvements. But there are also some aspects of the game I felt were negatives as well. First, I need to point out the discrepancy in textures throughout the game. While the monsters and hunters look great, it's hard not to notice textures in the environments and on NPC characters look very dated, especially when you are in a cutscene. Also, it isn't always obvious to me where my Sacred can and cannot jump off ledges. There were many instances of chasing down a monster and my Sacred just wouldn't jump off the edge of a small cliff. Instead, I would have to jump off my sacred and then call for it from the ground in order to keep a pace with the monster I was chasing. Lastly, I am a bit disappointed with the selection of monsters this time. There are some interesting new ones, but the overall cast was a bit disappointing to me. Did we need a Rathian and a Rathalos, and 2 tentacled monsters? I hope DLC will add some favorites from the previous games. A Diablos, maybe? By the way, I will never get tired of seeing 2 large monsters battle it out, I whisper, "Let them fight," under my breath. I do wish there were special animations between the large monsters. If there are any, I haven't seen them yet, and I'm about 60 hours into the game so far. Lastly, I will end on the music and story. The music is great as ever. I love that Monster Hunter theme. The story is improved in that there are some meaningful cutscenes and dialogue between characters. However, I wouldn't say the story is core to the game. By the time the player hits the credits, the story is mostly complete. And if you're like me, you'll come to realize the narrative is mostly there just to make the tutorials interesting. But again, that is par for the course with Monster Hunter games. While Monster Hunter may have some flaws, it also has a foundation of great quality of life improvements. For those reasons, I think Monster Hunter is a great game. As we speak, there are updates coming soon for Monster Hunter Wilds. If you're the type of person that doesn't mind waiting for big updates, patches, and DLC, then this may be the perfect game for you and your friends. Don't agree with my score? It's likely you have different tastes than me, and that's okay. I created a forum where you can see how the game I score for you personally just by answering a few questions. Try it by clicking on the link in the description. Please let me know if you find the adjusted score useful.